Hello, welcome back to my channel. So, quick announcement before we dive into it. If you didn't see on my little community post thing yesterday, I do have a Discord now. It's been, a day since it's been up and it's been really fun. There's like 400 people there currently. So yeah, if you like me and you want to talk to me more, I'm like really active on there. I played Minecraft with some of y'all yesterday for a few hours and it was very fun, so if you want to join that, the link is in my description. Let's get on with the video. Today we're talking about fast fashion and ethical consumption, which has become a pretty polarizing subject on social media, especially on TikTok. And I have thoughts, shocking, I know, but I am capable of thinking. So what I'm going to be doing is first presenting the two sides of the argument regarding fast fashion, for and against, and then I'm going to be giving my opinions. Firstly though, what is fast fashion? Fast fashion is defined as inexpensive clothing produced rapidly by mass market retailers in response to the latest trends. So shops like Shein, Zara, Fashion Nova are all online shops that are the most well-known examples of fast fashion. The conversation around fast fashion has grown a lot in the past year or so, and most of the conversation surrounding it is the agreement that fast fashion is bad, but there are a few outspoken people that are open about their use of fast fashion and how they have no issue with contributing to it. So that's what fast fashion is. Let's go over the arguments for and against it. First, the argument against. The first reason that people are against fast fashion is because it's really harmful to the environment. Fast fashion takes up about 10% of the world's carbon emissions and is the second largest industry in regards to pollution behind the oil industry. The clothing is also very cheap material, which can lead to microfibers and microplastics ending up in the ocean. These are teeny tiny non-biodegradable materials that end up either being consumed by ocean animals or they end up in those garbage patches, which are like floating mounds of garbage that's all come together in the ocean. The Pacific garbage patch is the biggest one, I think. The second reason that people are against it, and this one is what's more talked about on social media, is the fact that it is unethical due to the fact that fast fashion companies rely on child labor and or unsupervised factories. People that work in fast fashion factories are typically women, they're typically underage, they work long hours with very minimal pay, and the working conditions are typically unsafe. And aside from that, another main talking point is just that the clothes the workers make are usually made of very cheap material that wears down pretty quickly, so you won't have the item of clothing for very long. Now the argument for fast fashion. A lot of people say they can't afford to buy from other places. A lot of people say they don't necessarily care about the fact that these companies use essentially child labor, because if they buy something, the kid does get paid, and there's also the argument of, well, if I don't buy it, someone else is going to, so it doesn't really make a difference. Those are the main arguments for and against fast fashion. Let's dive in a little bit about the ups and downs of both sides. I am very mixed on fast fashion, particularly the movement of being anti-fast fashion, and honestly, I'm probably more against the movement than I am for it, and let me explain why. Also, this is, going to be more personal opinion as well as commentary, not straight up fact, so keep that in mind. It's common for social movements online to start out with the right intentions, but then a few people don't have the right intentions and they start to twist the movement or make it more malicious than it was intended to be. And in this situation, I think that a lot of people online have jumped on this bandwagon of being pro-ethical consumption, more so for the moral superiority than to create actual change. Don't get me wrong, it is fine to do something because it makes you feel better about yourself. I can agree that it feels good to buy things when you know that it's made of recycled materials, when it's coming from a small business, when the proceeds go to a charitable cause. Doing good makes you feel good, and that is good. But there's a lot of people online that preach about ethical consumption, but they don't actually try to partake in ethical consumption. They just bash girls on TikTok for buying things from Shein. And that's what I disagree with, because at that point, you're not doing something to feel good about yourself. You're doing something to make someone else feel bad about themselves. And honestly, I think that there are situations where it is understandable to buy fast fashion. I'm not talking about the people on TikTok that do like those $600 Shane hauls. Obviously, if you have the money to buy from a better company, please just buy from a better company. At that point, I don't think there's really an excuse. But I think that ethical consumption as a concept has a lot of flaws, the main one being the price of ethical companies. The word ethical can be applied in different ways, but in my opinion, I don't think it's very ethical to charge $40 for a t-shirt that just has some screen printed text on it just because the shirt's made out of recyclable material or the brand is known for being ethical, especially when the shirt costs nowhere near $40 to make. I understand obviously that companies need to make a profit, but there are companies that promote themselves as ethical just so they can charge those high prices. And companies like that are really only selling to a certain group of people within a certain socioeconomic class. You could buy this $40 t-shirt from this brand that plants a tree with every purchase or whatever. Or you could buy 4 shirts for $10 at Walmart because you need clothes. Even though it is a cheaper quality product, places like Shane provide a lot of options of clothing for people that need clothes and can't afford to spend ethically. Places like Shane are also an option for trans or LGBT youth that want to experiment with clothing and self-expression, but maybe they don't have a supportive family that'll buy them things. Shane is cheap, it's decently fast shipping, and the packaging is discreet. And yes, there is the alternative like shopping at secondhand or thrift shops, and I think if you're able to do that, that's great. Definitely try and do that. But there's also the issue that's come up with the increase in popularity of these types of stores among teens. This has led to size and selection of clothing being limited at these types of shops, and you might not always find something that you can fit into. And then there's also the issue of, even if it's a thrift store, that doesn't mean that it's an ethical store. The main example being Goodwill. It's like the most well-known secondhand retailer, and you would think that it would be good. It's called Goodwill, but they are known for paying their employees with disabilities less than minimum wage, and there's the allegation that their CEO, Stephen Preston, makes millions of dollars a year despite the company being non-profit. Finally, there's the issue of online secondhand shops, Depop in particular, being gentrified and taken over by people that are really only there for profit. They sell poor quality or just straight up children's clothes. They market them as vintage or Y2K to jack the price up to where you'd be spending more money on one shirt there than multiple at Goodwill. I don't want to come across like I'm pro Shane because I'm not. But I just think that there's a lot of hypocrisy within the anti-fast fashion movement. People will shit on someone for buying from Shane because they use child labor, but then they'll go buy from Victoria's Secret, Urban Outfitters, Gap, H&M, Adidas, the list goes on. All of those brands have come under fire for their use of cheap material, low wages, stealing designs, child labor, sexual misconduct, unsafe working conditions, the use of sweatshops. In my opinion, it's less about Shane being a bad company. It's that Shane has been used as the model of what a bad company is, and that has allowed other companies to get away with a lot of not good things. Literally, Gap has been accused of forcing their employees into getting abortions so they can keep working. So yes, Shane is bad, but the movement of being anti-fast fashion is flawed. People should stop bashing other people for buying from Shane and focus more on being informed about the brands that they shop from. It's not a bad thing at all to shop sustainably, but don't shame people if they can't afford to. Try and keep people informed about the companies that they support and the companies you support, because you could unknowingly be giving money to the same sweatshop that you bash someone else for buying from. I also think that there should be a push for ethical companies to be more affordable so people can actually be able to shop sustainably. But hey, at the end of the day, there is no ethical consumption under capitalism because it's always going to be about profit. I hope this made sense. This is, again, predominantly opinion-based, so maybe I'm wrong about some things. If you have something to say about fast fashion and ethical consumption, go ahead and comment it down below. But yeah, that's really all I wanted to say about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're new here, consider liking and subscribing. I feel like I had something else to say and I don't remember. Oh yeah, speaking of ethical consumption, check out this necklace. It's from the shop Toxic Universe on Instagram and TikTok. It's an Afro-Latinx owned small business. They hand make the jewelry. It's great. Check them out if you can. But yeah, that's really all I had to say. This was kind of a shorter one than I thought, but it's been on my mind for a while, and I was like, I don't know if I should talk about this, whatever, but I'm going to, because I've like mentioned it in a few videos before where I'm like, I have my gripes with fast fashion and ethical consumption. Y'all don't care. So anyway, I'm gonna go back on Discord. Maybe I'll see you there. I don't know. What am I doing? Okay, anyway, look at these lashes. Also, look at my hair. My hair is fluffy as fuck today. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment for engagement. We are very close to 100K. Like, very close. Scary. Okay, I'm gonna go eat lunch. Bye.